8 years, 2,857 humans dead on camera. Broadcast to billions. Hunted for sport on a planet called Quiet Morning by aliens who thought humans were soft, weak, easy prey. Then they took Tobias Brennick, 46 years old, hunting guide from Alaska, father of one. 6 months earlier, he'd watched his son die on their broadcast. Watched Kieran try to save people he barely knew. Watched him fail. Watched the light leave his eyes. In the next 6 days, Tobias didn't kill a single hunter. He did something worse. He made billions of aliens watch humans save each other. Made them see what they'd been hunting all along. Made them understand that the thing about humans isn't our claws or our armor or our strength. It's that we don't leave people behind. This is how one ordinary father ended the cruelest show in the galaxy. The cabin smelled like pine and coffee. Morning light filtered through gaps in the logs, cutting across the worn wooden floor in pale yellow bands. Outside, snow was still falling. Had been falling since midnight, another 3 inches on top of what was already there. The kind of quiet, steady accumulation that turned the world into something clean and simple. Tobias Brennick stood at the window mug in both hands, watching the forest wake up. He was a big man, not gym built, just solid. The kind of frame that came from 30 years of carrying gear through rough country. Broad shoulders, thick forearms, hands that were calloused and scarred from 1,000 small injuries, rope burns, knife slips, frostbite scars on 3 fingers of his left hand. His hair was mostly gray now, cut short military style, though that had been a long time ago. His face was weathered, deep lines around his eyes from years of squinting against snow glare and summer sun. A scar through his left eyebrow from a fall on ice when he was 23. He looked like what he was, a man who spent more time outside than in, who knew how to read weather and track game and find water in country that wanted you dead. The kind of man tourists pay good money to keep them alive in the wilderness. The coffee was strong, too strong maybe, but Tobias had never been able to make it any other way. His ex-wife used to complain about it, said it tasted like motor oil. He'd always just shrugged. You wanted weak coffee, you made it yourself. She'd been gone 12 years now. Moved to Seattle, remarried. He didn't hold it against her. The divorce had been quiet, civil. They just wanted different things. She wanted the city, stability, a life that made sense on paper. Tobias wanted the mountains. They'd split custody of Kieran, summers with dad in Alaska, school year with mom in the city. It had worked, better than most arrangements. Kieran had grown up knowing both worlds, had his mother's quick mind and his father's steady hands. The kid could start a fire in a snowstorm, could gut a fish in under a minute, could navigate by stars and moss and the way water flowed. But he also loved books, engineering, had gotten into a good school, was studying to be something more than his old man, something that didn't involve freezing his ass off in February teaching dentists from Phoenix how to not die in the woods. Tobias smiled at that thought, took another sip of coffee. The tourists were coming in this afternoon, 3 of them, lawyers from California who wanted to experience real Alaska. They'd booked a 5-day guided hunt, caribou if they were lucky. Mostly they'd experience cold feet and sore backs in the very real understanding that nature didn't care about their money or their opinions. Tobias would keep them safe, would teach them what they needed to know, would get them their trophy if the opportunity came, would send them home with stories they'd tell at dinner parties for years. It was good work, honest work, nothing fancy, just good work. His phone buzzed on the table. He turned, set down the mug, picked up the phone. The screen showed a video call. The contact name read Kieran. Tobias felt his chest tighten. The kid had been on a transport ship for the last 2 weeks, headed to some frontier colony, something about an engineering internship. Good experience. Good money. Tobias had told him to go, told him to see the galaxy while he was young enough to enjoy it. He'd also told him to be careful. But Kieran was 19, and 19-year-olds never listened. Tobias answered the call. The screen filled with his son's face. Kieran looked tired. There were dark circles under his eyes. His hair was a mess, but he was smiling. Hey, Dad. Hey, kid, you look like hell. Kieran laughed. Transport bunks aren't exactly 5-star. We've been in cryo for most of it, but the wake-up cycle's brutal. Where are you? Just came out of our last jump. We're about 6 hours from Kepler's Reach. Should be on the ground by tonight. Tobias nodded. Kepler's Reach, frontier colony, mining outpost, the kind of place where regulations were more suggestions than rules, where people went to disappear or to make money or both. You got your comm unit charged. Yes, Dad. And you're staying in the secure zones. Yes, Dad. And you're not drinking anything you didn't pour yourself. Kieran grinned. You're worse than Mom. Your mom's smarter than me. Listen to her too. I will. I promise. It's just 3 months. I'll be back before you know it. Tobias looked at his son's face on the screen, tried to memorize it, the way he always did when Kieran left, just in case. Be safe, kid. Always am. Love you, Dad. Love you too. The call ended. Tobias stood there for a moment, phone in hand, staring at the blank screen. Then he set it down, picked up his coffee, and went back to the window. The snow was still falling. The forest was still quiet. And somewhere 6 hours from Kepler's reach, his son was about to step into something Tobias couldn't protect him from. The file arrived 4 days later. Tobias was in town picking up supplies for the next group of tourists when his phone pinged. A message from an unknown contact. No name, just a string of numbers. The message itself was blank except for a file attachment. Warning: intercepted alien broadcast. Disturbing content. Discretion advised. Tobias almost deleted it. Spam, had to be. But something made him pause. The file size was large, video probably, and the source code, when he checked it, traced back to a deep space monitoring station on Europa. Official channels. He downloaded the file, drove home in silence. The truck's heater rattled and wheezed, but he didn't notice. His hands were tight on the wheel. Too tight. His jaw ached from clenching. By the time he pulled into the cabin's driveway, the sun was setting. The sky was the color of bruises, purple and red and black. Tobias went inside, set the groceries on the counter, didn't put them away, just left them there and walked to his desk. His laptop was old, 15 years maybe, but it worked. That's all that mattered. And he opened the file. The video started with a logo, stylized alien script that the translation software rendered as Quiet Morning Network, premium entertainment experience. Then the logo faded. The screen filled with jungle, dense, green, the kind of vegetation that only grew in high heat, high humidity environments. Volcanic vents bled red through the canopy. Steam rose in columns. Everything looked wet, slick, dangerous. A voice spoke, translated into flat artificial English by software that couldn't quite capture the alien inflection. Welcome to Season 8 of The Hunt. Today we present 5 fresh specimens of humanity, recently contacted species, soft-bodied, minimal natural defenses, excellent entertainment value. The camera pulled back, showed 5 people, young, terrified. They were standing in a clearing surrounded by jungle. None of them had weapons. They were wearing whatever they'd been wearing when they were taken. Jeans, t-shirts, one girl in a dress. They looked so small. The voice continued, "Survival begins now. Hunters will commence pursuit in 1 standard hour. May your struggle bring joy to our viewers." The camera cut to aerial footage. Drones, probably, circling the clearing like vultures. The 5 humans scattered, running in different directions, some together, some alone. Tobias watched. His coffee sat untouched beside the laptop, cold now. The room was dark except for the screen's glow. Outside, the temperature was dropping. The cabin's old furnace kicked on with a groan. He didn't notice any of it. On screen, the first human died. A girl, early 20s maybe. She was running through the jungle, pushing aside broad leaves when something hit her. A spear of light. It punched through her chest and out her back, cauterized instantly. She fell without a sound. The camera zoomed in on her face, captured the moment the life left her eyes. Then it cut to the hunters. Tall, lean, gray-brown skin like dried leather. 4-fingered hands, eyes that glowed with reflected heat. They were laughing, a sound like dogs choking on glass. A voice spoke. One of the hunters. The translation software rendered it. First blood, the female. Disappointing. No sport. Tobias's hands curled into fists. The video continued. 20 minutes. 30. An hour. The humans died one by one. Picked off. Hunted. The footage was expertly edited. Maximum drama. Close-ups on faces. Slow-motion deaths. Commentary from the hunters. The large one better. Good struggle. 2 more. The male resists. Entertaining. By the end, 4 were dead. Only 1 remained. A young man, brown hair, lean build. He was at the edge of a cliff, backed against empty air. The hunters had him surrounded. There was nowhere left to run. The camera focused on his face. Tobias stopped breathing. Kieran, his son, his boy. standing at the edge of a 100-foot drop facing aliens who were about to kill him for entertainment. The lead hunter stepped forward. The translation software caught his words. "End of the line, human. You ran well, better than most of your kind. But all prey runs out of ground eventually." Kieran's chest was heaving. His face was pale, streaked with dirt and blood that wasn't his. But when he spoke, his voice was steady. "Why? Why did this?" The hunter tilted his head. The movement was alien, predatory. "Entertainment. Your species is new to the galaxy, soft, weak. You make excellent prey, and the viewers pay well to watch soft things struggle." A camera drone drifted closer to Kieran's face. "Any last words, human?" "The audience appreciates drama." Kieran looked at the camera, looked directly into it, and for a moment Tobias felt like his son was looking at him. Across light years, across the impossible distance between life and death. "My father," Kieran said, his voice cracked. "My father will find you." The hunter made that choking dog laugh. "Your father is light years away, human. He will never know what happened to you. He will never find this place. He will live his small life on his small planet and die wondering why his offspring never came home." The hunter raised his weapon, a spear made of light. "Goodbye, human." The flash was white, blinding. When it faded, Kieran was falling. The camera followed him down, watched him hit the rocks below, watched the Black River take his body, watched the current pull him under. The broadcast cut to statistics: survival time, distance covered, viewer engagement metrics. Then it ended. Tobias sat in the darkness of his cabin. The laptop screen had gone black. The only sound was the furnace and the wind outside and his own breathing. He didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't put his fist through the wall, or collapse to the floor, or do any of the things a father was supposed to do when he watched his only child die. He just sat there, perfectly still, and felt something inside him shift, something that had been dormant, something from before, from the years before the cabin and the tourists and the quiet life, something military. He stood up, walked to the closet, pulled out a box he hadn't opened in 15 years. Inside were things from his old life: discharge papers, medals he'd never worn, a combat knife with a worn handle and a blade that still held an edge, and a satellite phone, the kind the government gave to contractors who worked in places where regular communications didn't reach. He turned it on. It still had charge. The number was still active. He made a call, 3 rings, then a voice. Female. Professional. Identification: Brennick Tobias, service number 773429 Alpha. A pause. The sound of keys typing. "Brennick Tobias, discharged 2011, honorable. You shouldn't have this number. I need information. Alien broadcasts, hunting show called Quiet Morning." Another pause. Longer. "That's restricted. My son was on it. I just watched him die." The silence stretched, then quieter. Hold. 5 minutes passed, maybe 10. Tobias stood at the window, watched the forest. The snow had stopped. The sky was clear. Stars were coming out. The voice came back. "I'm sorry about your son. I have a supervisor here. He wants to talk to you." A new voice. Male, older. "Mr. Brennick, my name is Graves. I run the Deep Space Monitoring Division. I'm the one who authorized the leak of that broadcast. Sent it to families of the victims. Thought they had a right to know." "Where is it, that planet?" "I can't tell you that." "Can't or won't?" "Both. Listen to me very carefully. Quiet Morning is operated by a species called the HFY. They run it in legal gray zones. Target species not protected under galactic sentience accords. Humans aren't protected yet. We've only been in galactic space for 3 years. We don't have the political weight." How many what? How many humans have died there?" Graves hesitated. 2,847, over 8 years. Tobias closed his eyes. "And we can't stop it. We're trying. There are protests, diplomatic pressure, but the Kethri have powerful allies, and the show is profitable. 4 billion viewers last count. Money talks in the galaxy just like it does here. So nothing happens. My son dies for entertainment and nothing happens." "I didn't say that. I said we're trying, but it's slow. Politics always is." Tobias opened his eyes. "Thank you for the information." "Mr. Brennick, don't do anything stupid. If you're thinking what I think you're thinking, it's suicide. These aren't humans. They're apex predators. And they have technology we can barely understand. I appreciate the concern. I'm serious. You go after them, you die. And your son's death means nothing. My son's death already means nothing. To them, to the people watching. He's just content, entertainment. Tobias disconnected. He stood there for a long time. Then he went back to the box, pulled out everything, looked at what he had. It wasn't much, but it was a start. 6 months. That's how long it took. 6 months of research, of planning, of transforming himself from a hunting guide into something harder, something colder. Tobias sold the cabin, sold the truck, sold his guiding business to a competitor who'd been trying to buy him out for years, liquidated everything, turned it into credits, untraceable funds. He trained, not the way he'd trained for tourists. This was different. This was the muscle memory from 20 years ago surfacing from wherever it had been buried. Hand to hand, knife work, how to move through hostile terrain without being seen, how to survive on nothing. His knee hurt, the old injury from his discharge. He'd torn ligaments in a training accident. 23 years old, end of his career. They'd offered him a medical retirement, honorable discharge, pension. He'd taken it, started over, built a new life. Now he was tearing it all down. The knee still hurt, but pain was just information. Information could be managed. He studied everything he could find about the Varath, the species that ran the hunts, their biology, their culture, pack hunters, hierarchical, obsessed with honor, with proving dominance. They thought humans were soft, weak, easy prey. Tobias intended to prove them wrong. He learned about quiet morning, the planet, jungle world, high gravity by human standards, hot, humid, volcanic activity, indigenous predators that made Earth's apex hunters look tame. And he learned about the Kethvari, the slug-like creatures who owned the network, who profited from human suffering. By the end of 6 months, Tobias Brennick looked like a different man, leaner, harder. There was something in his eyes that hadn't been there before, something that made people look away when they met his gaze. He traveled to Kepler's Reach, the colony where Kieran had been taken. It was exactly what Tobias expected. Frontier outpost, mining operations, bars and brothels and black market dealers. The kind of place where people disappeared and nobody asked questions. He checked into a cheap hostel near the port district, paid in cash, kept to himself, spent 2 weeks establishing himself as exactly what he appeared to be, a burned-out drifter, older man, quiet, no connections, nobody who'd be missed. The traffickers noticed him on day 15. They were professionals, watched him for 3 days, confirmed he was alone, confirmed he had no family waiting for him, confirmed he was worth more as cargo than as a customer. Tobias let them watch, let them see exactly what they wanted to see. They came for him on a Thursday, 3 of them, human, working as middlemen for the Kethvari supply chain. They waited until he left the bar, followed him into an alley, hit him with a neural stunner before he could react. Tobias could have fought back, could have put all 3 down in under a minute. 20 years ago, he'd been trained to do exactly that, but he didn't. He let his body go limp, let them drag him to their transport, let them load him into a cargo container with 7 other captives. 2 colonists who'd made the mistake of traveling alone, a family of 3 who'd been sold by their own debt holders, a young woman with a medical student ID badge, and a teenage boy who kept whispering that there had to be some mistake. Tobias said nothing. The transport lifted off, jumped to hyperspace. The cargo hold was dark, cold. The other captives cried, prayed, begged for someone to help them. Tobias closed his eyes. In the darkness, surrounded by the sound of fear and hopelessness, he counted days. 6 months since Kieran died. 2 weeks since he'd let himself be captured. Soon, the transport dropped out of hyperspace above quiet morning. Tobias watched through a small viewport as the planet filled the frame. Green and brown and black, swirled with clouds, scarred by volcanic activity. Even from orbit, he could see the red glow of lava flows cutting through the jungle, beautiful in its way. The transport descended, shaking and groaning as it hit atmosphere. The other captives huddled together. Some were crying openly. The teenage boy had gone silent. His face was blank with shock. The medical student, her badge said Vera Ashford, was trying to keep it together. She'd taken charge of the family, was holding the youngest child, whispering that it would be okay. Tobias knew it wouldn't be okay, but he appreciated the effort. The transport didn't land. It slowed to a hover above a clearing, and the cargo hold doors opened. Hot air rushed in. The smell hit immediately. Sulfur, rotting vegetation, the thick, wet scent of a jungle that was very much alive. A voice echoed through the hold. Translated. Artificial. Welcome to Quiet Morning. You have been selected for participation in our premium entertainment experience. The rules are simple. Survive. Your hunters will begin pursuit in 1 hour. May your struggle bring joy to our viewers. The captives were pushed toward the door. Some went willingly, too stunned to resist. Others had to be dragged. The teenage boy tried to fight, clung to the doorframe, screamed that this couldn't be happening. A guard hit him with a neural prod. He fell into the jungle below. 20 feet. He hit hard, didn't get up for a while. The family went next, then the colonists, then Vera Ashford. She looked at Tobias before she jumped. Her eyes were wide, terrified. But there was something else there too. Determination. She wasn't going to give up. Tobias nodded to her. Once. Then he walked to the door. Below the clearing was chaos. The other captives were scrambling to their feet, looking around. Some were already running toward the tree line. Others just stood there, frozen. In the distance, on a ridge overlooking the clearing, Tobias could see figures watching. Tall, lean, Vareth hunters, arranged in a loose line, their postures radiating anticipation. Camera drones hovered in the air between them, already capturing footage. Tobias looked at the jungle, green and black and red, just like in the video, just like the last thing his son had ever seen. He stepped off the transport. He landed in a crouch, absorbed the impact with bent knees. The heat hit him immediately. The humidity pressed against his skin like a physical weight. Around him, the other captives were scattering, running in every direction. Some were crying, some were praying. The teenage boy was lying on the ground, still stunned, twitching slightly. Tobias stood up slowly. He looked at the jungle. Then he looked at the ridge, at the hunters watching, at the camera drones pivoting to capture his face. He could feel their eyes on him, could feel their confusion. This was new. This was different. Prey didn't stand still. Prey ran. But Tobias Brennick wasn't prey. He brushed the dirt from his knees, rolled his shoulders, took a long, slow breath of the sulfur-tinged air. Then he walked toward the tree line. Not fast, not slow. The measured pace of the man who knew exactly where he was going. Behind him, translated chatter crackled from the ridge. The hunters were confused, intrigued. One voice rose above the others, amplified for the broadcast. Interesting, the older human shows no fear response. Unusual behavior. This may provide excellent entertainment. Tobias disappeared into the jungle. The cameras followed. On the observation ridge, Kael'Zar watched the older human vanish into the green shadows. The hunt leader was tall even for a Vareth. His skin was darker than the others, more scarred. He'd been doing this for 12 seasons. 47 kills, each one recorded, archived, sold to millions of viewers. He knew prey, knew how they moved, how they thought, how they died. This one was different. Analysis, he said. Beside him, Rin pulled up a holographic display. The young Vareth's role was technical, monitoring biometrics, tracking movement patterns, making sure the cameras captured every angle. Elevated heart rate, Rin reported, but controlled breathing. Minimal adrenaline spike. Movement efficiency suggests experience in wilderness environments. Background. Captured on Kepler's Reach. No military flags in his file. Listed occupation hunting guide. Origin, planet Earth. Kael'Zar made a grinding sound. The Varath equivalent of amusement. A hunter. How appropriate. He'll understand what's happening to him then. Good. Fear is sweeter when it comes from comprehension. Should we prioritize him? Kael'Zar considered. The viewers would expect a certain rhythm. Quick kills early to establish stakes. A few extended chases for tension. Then the finale. Ideally with the most resilient prey saved for last. No, he decided. Let him settle in. Let him think his experience gives him an advantage. We'll take the easy ones first. Save him for day 3 or 4. By then he'll understand that experience means nothing here. Rin nodded and adjusted the drone assignments. Below in the jungle, the hunt was beginning. And Tobias Brennick was exactly where he wanted to be. Alone, unnoticed, with time to work. He moved through the undergrowth with the efficiency of long practice. Not fast, broke branches, made noise, left obvious trails. He moved like water, flowing around obstacles, following the path of least resistance. Within an hour, he'd covered 3 kilometers, had identified 4 viable water sources, had cataloged 6 species of potentially edible vegetation, had located the primary game trail used by the planet's apex predators, and he'd counted 18 drones. They moved in predictable patterns, sweeping the jungle in overlapping grids. Most were focused on the other captives, the ones who were running, screaming, making good content. A few had locked on to Tobias, hovering at a respectful distance, recording his unusual behavior for the viewers. Let them watch. Tobias found a stream. The water was warm, slightly acidic, but drinkable. He filled an improvised container, a large leaf folded and sealed with tree sap. It would hold maybe a liter, enough for now. He drank. The water tasted like minerals and sulfur, but it was wet. That's all that mattered. And then he kept moving, north, toward the ridge of volcanic peaks that dominated the horizon. Not because he wanted the high ground, not yet. First, he needed to understand what he was working with. The hunters had advantages: technology, numbers, familiarity with the terrain. But advantages could become weaknesses if you knew how to exploit them. The camera drones, for instance. Sophisticated, nearly silent, equipped with sensors that could track heat signatures and movement. But they were also predictable. They followed programming, not instinct. Tobias had been watching them for an hour. He already knew 3 blind spots within a kilometer of his position. He also knew the hunters were watching him. Not closely, not yet. They were focused on the easier prey, the ones who ran and screamed, the ones who made good entertainment. But they'd come for him eventually, when the easy kills were done, when they needed fresh content. They'd turn their attention to the anomaly, the human who didn't run. Tobias intended to be ready. He found what he was looking for an hour later, a section of jungle where the canopy was particularly dense, blocking most of the light, creating a maze of shadows and hanging vines. The ground here was treacherous, riddled with root systems and hidden depressions. A large predator had marked the area, claw marks on the trees, the faint musk of territorial scent. Perfect. Tobias knelt in the shadows, listened to the jungle, the clicking of insects the size of his fist, the shriek of things that weren't birds, the distant rumble of volcanic vents, and somewhere not far, the sound of someone crying. Human. Female. Tobias hesitated. His instinct was to help, to find whoever it was, to offer shelter, protection, the things he'd spent 30 years teaching tourists, but that would draw attention, would mark him as a target, would get them both killed. He closed his eyes, breathed. Then he heard Kieran's voice. Not real, just memory, but clear as if his son was standing right there. Dad would have known what to do. Tobias opened his eyes. He stood, moved toward the sound. The crying was coming from a depression beneath a fallen tree. Tobias approached slowly, making just enough noise to be heard, not wanting to startle. Easy, he said quietly. I'm human. I'm not going to hurt you. The crying stopped. There was a moment of silence. Then a voice, female, young. Who's there? My name's Tobias. I'm coming around the tree. Don't run. He moved into view, hands visible, non-threatening. The woman was huddled against the tree trunk, early 20s. Long dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her clothes were torn. There was a gash on her forehead where she'd walked into a branch. Blood had dried down the side of her face. Her badge, half torn, said Vera Ashford, medical student. She stared at Tobias. Her eyes were wide, terrified, but there was intelligence there. She was scared, but she hadn't shut down. She was still thinking. You were on the transport, she said. Yeah. Why aren't you running? Running just makes them excited, makes them close in faster. Walking's better. Walking to where there's nowhere to go. We're gonna die here. Tobias looked at her for a long moment. Then he crouched down, got to her level. What's your name, Vera? Vera Ashford. Okay, Vera, listen to me. We're not gonna die. Not today, not if we're smart, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She stared at him, searching his face, looking for something. Hope, maybe, or just the absence of lies. Finally, she nodded. Good. First thing, we need to get that cut cleaned. Infection in this environment will kill you faster than the hunters. You have any medical training? I'm a med student, 2nd year. Then you know what to do. Come on. I found clean water about half a click back. We'll get you patched up. Then we figure out next steps. He offered his hand. Vera hesitated, then took it. Tobias pulled her to her feet. Above them, a camera drone hovered, watching, recording. 4 billion viewers across the galaxy saw what happened next, saw a human help another human, saw kindness in a place designed for cruelty, saw something they didn't understand. And in a technical station on the observation ridge, a young Verath named Ryan watched the same footage, watched the older human's biometrics remain steady even as he exposed himself to danger, watched him offer help without hesitation, watched him turn prey into something else. And for the first time in his career, Rin wondered if maybe the humans weren't what the HFY said they were. Maybe they weren't prey at all. Maybe they were something far more dangerous. The message appeared on broadcast feeds across the galaxy 2 hours later. Quiet Morning Network, Season 8, Interactive Hunt Experience. For the first time in the show's history, viewers could vote, could influence the hunt, could choose challenges, punishments, methods. The more they voted, the more creative the entertainment. Current viewership, 4.2 billion, and rising. Day 1, Hour 3. Tobias led Vera back to the stream, moving slow, checking sight lines, listening for movement that didn't match the jungle's natural rhythm. The camera drones followed, keeping distance, capturing angles. Let them watch. At the stream, Tobias showed Vera how to clean the wound, how to use broad leaves as makeshift bandages, how to tie them with vine fiber stripped from a specific plant that grew near the water. Press here, he said. Hold pressure for 30 seconds. The leaf has natural coagulant properties. I've seen it used in field medicine. Vera's hands were shaking, but she did what he said. Pressed. Counted. Where'd you learn this? Army, long time ago, and 30 years of keeping tourists alive in places that wanted them dead. You were a soldier. For a while, then I wasn't. He didn't elaborate. Vera didn't push. When the bleeding stopped, Tobias stood, scanned the canopy. 3 drones now, all focused on this spot. We need to move, he said. Staying in one place makes us targets. Move where? Away from the easy routes. The hunters will focus on the runners first, the ones making noise. We stay quiet, stay smart, buy ourselves time. Time for what? Tobias looked at her, this young woman who was trying so hard to hold it together, who had medical training and intelligence, and the kind of courage that didn't come from not being afraid. It came from being terrified and doing it anyway. Time to figure out how to survive this. They moved east. Tobias set a pace Vera could maintain. Not too fast. Endurance mattered more than speed. He taught her as they went. How to step, where to place her feet, how to move through dense vegetation without leaving obvious trails. Why are you helping me? Vera asked. You could move faster alone. Because that's what humans do, Tobias said. We don't leave people behind. Above them, a camera drone's lens adjusted, zoomed, captured his face, his words. 4.3 billion viewers heard what he said. Somewhere in that crowd, someone started paying attention. They found Silas Cartwright 20 minutes later. The kid was 17, skinny, all elbows and knees. His shirt had a logo for some engineering academy. He was hanging upside down in a Verath net. The mesh had contracted when it hit him, pinned his arms to his sides. The more he struggled, the tighter it got. He was crying, quiet, the kind of crying that came after the screaming stopped. After you realized nobody was coming to help. Tobias approached slow, hands visible. Hey, kid, look at me. Silas's head jerked up. His face was red, tear-streaked. Please, please help me. I can't get out. It's getting tighter. I know, stop struggling. You're making it worse. I can't breathe. Yes, you can. Listen to my voice. Breathe with me. In. Hold out. Tobias demonstrated. Slow, controlled. The way he'd been taught 20 years ago when panic could get you killed. Silas tried, failed, tried again. After 30 seconds, his breathing steadied. Good, Tobias said. Now hold still. I'm going to get you down. He examined the net. Verath manufacture, sophisticated. The fibers responded to tension, contracted when pulled. But the anchor points were mechanical, simple carabiners attached to a weighted line thrown over a branch. Tobias found a sharp rock. Not ideal, but it would work. He climbed the tree, moved out onto the branch. The net's anchor was looped around a secondary branch. He sawed at it with the rock. It took 3 minutes. His hands were bleeding by the time the fiber parted. The net dropped. Silas hit the ground hard, but he was down. Tobias climbed down, helped the kid out of the mesh. You okay? Silas nodded, still crying, but breathing. Thank you. God, thank you. Don't thank me yet. We're not safe. Come on. Where? Somewhere the cameras have blind spots. Move. Vera helped Silas to his feet. The three of them moved deeper into the jungle. Above them, the drones repositioned, trying to track. But the canopy here was dense. The coverage had gaps. Tobias led them into one of those gaps. In the observation ridge technical station, Rin stared at his displays. The older human had just rescued another prey, had climbed a tree, had freed the trapped one using improvised tools, had done it efficiently, without hesitation. This wasn't panic. This wasn't survival instinct. This was training. Ryan pulled up the human's file again. Tobias Brennick, 46 standard years. Origin Earth. Occupation Hunting Guide. Military service discharged 2011. Discharge didn't mean unskilled. It just meant no longer active. Rin ran a biometric analysis, compared Tobias's stress responses to previous human prey. The differences were stark. Normal prey adrenaline spike, elevated cortisol, erratic heart rate, hyperventilation. Tobias elevated but controlled, breathing regulated, heart rate steady, cortisol present but managed. This human had been in high-stress situations before, many times. His body knew how to handle it. Rin's second eyelid flicked, a Varath gesture of unease. He should report this to Kael'zar. Should flag the human as potentially dangerous. But something made him hesitate. On the screen, Tobias was teaching the younger humans, showing them how to find water, how to identify edible plants, how to move quietly. He was helping them. Prey didn't help prey. Prey ran, hid, died alone. This human was doing something else, something Ryan didn't have words for. He thought about his family, about his cousin Talvik, taken by Kethvari enforcers 2 years ago. Disappeared into the network's supply chain. Rin had done nothing, had been too afraid, too complicit. He'd told himself he was gathering evidence, building a case, but really he was just a coward. He looked at Tobias on the screen, looked at a human doing what Rin should have done, fighting back. Rin made a decision, a small one, but a decision nonetheless. He deleted the biometric anomaly from his report, marked Tobias's file as standard prey behavior. No special attention required. Then he returned to monitoring, waiting, watching this strange human who didn't run. Day 1, hour 7. The first death came at sunset. His name was Jake, 22, former college athlete. All confidence and muscle and the kind of bravado that came from never having faced real danger. He'd split from the group early, refused to hide, said he was going to find a weapon, going to fight back. Tobias had tried to warn him, told him fighting was suicide without preparation, without knowledge of the terrain and the enemy. Jake hadn't listened. Now he was dying. Tobias heard the screams from half a click away, recognized them instantly. Not pain screams, fear screams. The sound a human made when they realized they'd made a fatal mistake. He told Vera and Silas to stay hidden. Then he ran toward the sound. By the time he arrived, it was almost over. Jake was in a clearing, on his back. Something massive was on top of him. A predator, indigenous to quiet morning. Six-legged, covered in chitinous plates, mandibles the size of Tobias's forearm. It had already torn through Jake's abdomen. The kid's intestines were visible, steaming in the humid air. Jake's eyes found Tobias, wide, desperate. Help, please. Tobias had no weapons, no way to fight that thing. Approaching would just get them both killed. But he couldn't leave. He picked up a rock, threw it, hit the creature's plated head. It barely noticed, but it was enough. Jake used the distraction, somehow found the strength to roll, to get out from under it. He tried to stand, fell. The creature turned toward Tobias, began moving. Tobias backed away, slow, not turning, not running. Running triggered chase response. The creature followed, step by step. Tobias led it away from Jake, 20 meters, 30. Then he saw what he needed, a volcanic vent, belching sulfur and heat. He moved toward it. The creature followed, right to the edge. Tobias jumped sideways. The creature's momentum carried it forward, into the vent. It screamed, a sound like metal tearing. Then it fell, disappeared into the heat. Tobias ran back to Jake. The kid was still alive. Barely. His hands were pressed to his stomach, trying to hold himself together. Literally. "I'm sorry," Jake whispered. "I'm sorry, I should have listened." Tobias knelt beside him, took Jake's hand. "It's okay. You are okay." "I'm not. I'm dying." "I know. Tell my mom. Tell her I'm sorry." "I will." Jake's breathing was slowing, shallow, wet. Does it hurt? No. Tobias lied. You're doing fine, just rest. I'm scared. I know, son, I know, but you're not alone. I'm right here, I'm not going anywhere. Jake's grip tightened, then loosened, his eyes fixed on something Tobias couldn't see, then nothing. Tobias closed the kid's eyes, sat there for a moment, one hand still holding Jake's. 3 camera drones hovered overhead, capturing everything, every angle, every expression on Tobias's face. The galactic broadcast didn't cut away, didn't edit, showed all of it, showed a human comforting another human, showing compassion in the final moments, staying when he could have run. 4.7 billion viewers watched, and for the first time in the show's 8-year history, the audience wasn't entertained. They were uncomfortable. Tobias returned to Vera and Silas in darkness. They'd built a small shelter, branches and leaves. Nothing fancy, but it would keep them dry if it rained. They looked at him, saw the blood on his hands, saw his face. Jake, Vera asked. Tobias shook his head. Silas looked away. Vera closed her eyes. I tried, Tobias said. Wasn't enough. It's not your fault. Feels like it is. He sat down, leaned against a tree. The exhaustion was catching up now, adrenaline wearing off. His knee was throbbing, the old injury making itself known. Vera sat beside him. You saved 2 of us today. Fed us. Taught us. That counts. 1 dead still counts more. No, it doesn't. Not to me and Silas. You gave us a chance. That's more than anyone else has done. Tobias didn't answer, just stared into the darkness. After a while, Silas spoke. My name's Silas, Silas Cartwright. I'm from New Boston Colony. I was going to be an engineer, build things, help people. You still can, Tobias said. How we're going to die here? Maybe, but not today. And tomorrow's problem is for tomorrow. How are you so calm? Tobias looked at the kid, 17. Same age Kieran had been when he'd started talking about engineering school. Same kind of brain, same kind of hope. I'm not calm. I'm just old enough to know that panic doesn't help. We stay smart, stay together. We survive. And then what? Then we figure out the next thing, one step at a time. Silas nodded, seemed to accept that. They sat in silence. The jungle around them was alive with sound, clicking, chirping, the distant roar of something large. Tobias's eyes were closing. He forced them open. Sleep was dangerous, but necessary. I'll take first watch, Vera said. Get some rest. Wake me in 2 hours. I will. Tobias closed his eyes, but sleep didn't come. Not really, just a half-aware state, monitoring sounds, ready to move. In that state, he thought about Kieran, about Jake, about all the people who died in this place, and he thought about the cameras, about the billions watching. They were seeing humans die, but they were also seeing humans help each other, seeing compassion, courage. Maybe that mattered. Maybe that was worth something. He'd find out. Day 2, morning. Tobias woke to the sound of Vera's voice. Tobias, we have company. He was on his feet in seconds, hand reaching for a weapon he didn't have. But it wasn't hunters, it was more humans. 3 of them, 2 women and a man, all in their 30s or 40s. They looked rough, exhausted, terrified. The man spoke first. Please, we've been running all night. We saw your shelter. How did you find us? Followed the drone patterns. Figured if they were watching something, there might be people. We need help. Tobias studied them. They weren't faking, weren't a trap, just desperate. Come on, sit. They collapsed. Grateful. One of the women started crying. The other just stared into space. The man said his name was Marcus. The women were Lisa and Charlotte. Teachers from a colony school. They'd been taken together. How many of you were there? Tobias asked. Behind. We lost 2 yesterday. The hunters. They played with them, made it last. Lisa looked up. Her face was streaked with dirt and tears. You're the one from the broadcast feed, the one helping people. We saw you on the drones. The drones are broadcasting. Everything. It's all live. Billions watching. They vote on what happens next. Tobias felt something cold settle in his chest. They vote challenges, methods. It's interactive entertainment. Silas made a sound. Disgust, horror. Vera just shook her head. Tobias stood, walked to the edge of the shelter, looked up at the canopy, at the gaps where camera drones hovered. Billions watching, voting, making entertainment out of human suffering. An idea formed. Dangerous. Probably stupid. But an idea. He walked back to the group. How many of us are left total, Marcus thought. You three, us three, maybe two more. We heard screams from different directions, but I don't know. So 8, maybe fewer. Yeah. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna serve all of us, together. How Tao? Charlotte asked. Her voice was flat, dead. They have weapons, technology. We have nothing. We have each other. And if billions are watching, then we show them who we are. We show them what makes humans different. He turned, looked directly at the nearest camera drone. My name is Tobias Brennick. My son Kieran died here 6 months ago. I'm not gonna kill you, hunters. I'm gonna make sure everyone watching knows what you really are. And I'm getting these kids home. The words echoed in the jungle. Then silence. Then somewhere in the distance, a barking laugh. The hunters had heard. On the observation ridge, Kael'Zar stared at the broadcast feed. The old human, speaking directly to the camera, issuing a challenge. 4.8 billion viewers. And climbing. The chat feeds were exploding, comments scrolling too fast to read. But the sentiment was clear. This was different. This human was different. Kael'Zar's mandibles clicked. Irritation. Send the message, he said. All hunters, new priority target. The old human, Tobias Brennick. Beside him, his second-in-command tilted his head. Now it's only day 2, protocol says. Protocol can adapt. This human is disrupting the entertainment, making it about compassion instead of fear. The viewers are confused. We need to refocus them. How? We make an example, show them that human compassion is just another weakness to exploit. The second nodded, began coordinating. Kael'Zar watched the feed, watched Tobias gathering the humans, teaching them, leading them. The fool thought help made them strong. Kael'Zar would prove otherwise. In the technical station, Rin watched the same feed, watched Kael'Zar's orders go out. Then he did something he'd never done before. He hacked his own system, created a false error, made it look like a communication glitch. And in that glitch, he sent a message. Tight beam, encrypted, to a specific coordinate in the jungle, to Tobias Brennick's location. The message was simple: hunters coming. North Ridge, 4 units, you have 3 hours. Rin deleted all traces, fixed the error, returned to monitoring. His second eyelid was flickering. Fear, adrenaline, he'd just committed treason. Against his own kind, against the network, for a human, for prey. But when he looked at Tobias on the screen, saw him organizing the survivors, teaching them how to make weapons from rocks and branches, saw him giving them hope when they had none. Rin didn't regret it. For the first time in 2 years, he didn't feel like a coward. Tobias's comm unit beeped. He'd taken it from one of the dead captives yesterday. The traffickers hadn't bothered to remove them. Probably thought the prey wouldn't know how to use alien tech. They were wrong. The message was encrypted. But basic. Tobias broke it in under a minute. Hunters coming, North Ridge. 4 units, 3 hours. He stared at the screen. Someone was helping him. Someone with access to hunter communications. An ally. Inside the system. Tobias looked at Vera Silas Marcus, Lisa Charlotte. 6 humans, no weapons, no experience. 3 hours before 4 trained hunters arrived. He smiled, the kind of smile that didn't reach his eyes. All right, listen up. We don't have much time. I'm going to teach you how to set a trap. Day 2, hour 11, the trap was simple. Classic. The kind of thing Tobias had taught to tourists for 30 years. A trip line, positioned at knee height, invisible against the jungle backdrop, connected to a deadfall, a large log, weighted with rocks, suspended above the trail. When the line was triggered, the log would fall. Tobias had modified it, added sharpened stakes to the underside of the log, carved them from hardwood. Hours of work. His hands were bleeding from the effort, but they were sharp. The kill zone was positioned at a natural choke point between 2 rock formations, the only practical route from the North Ridge. If the hunters came this way, they'd trigger it. Tobias positioned his people in the surrounding jungle, hidden, quiet, with instructions to run if things went wrong. Then he waited. The hunters arrived on schedule, 4 of them, moving in formation, professional, alert. Tobias watched from 30 meters away, perfectly still, breathing slow. The lead hunter was scanning, using some kind of handheld device. Heat signature tracker, probably. The hunter paused, looked at the device, frowned, said something in Veroth. The translation software in Tobias's stolen comm unit rendered it multiple heat signatures, clustered, unusual formation. The second hunter replied, trap. Prey doesn't set traps. This prey might. They approached more carefully, but they still approached. Confidence, arrogance, the belief that their technology and training made them superior. It would cost them. The lead hunter stepped over the trip line, missed it entirely. His eyes were on his scanner. Not the ground. The second hunter wasn't as lucky. His boot caught the line. The mechanism released. The log fell. 300 pounds of hardwood and stone and sharpened stakes. It hit the second hunter at chest height. The stakes punched through his armor. Through his body, blood sprayed, gray-brown, leaking. The hunter screamed, a high-pitched sound, then gurgled, then nothing. The other 3 hunters scattered, training taking over. But Tobias was already moving. He'd positioned second trip lines, backup traps, not lethal, just disruptive. Nets, the same kind the Verath used. Tobias had scavenged one, repurposed it. The third hunter ran directly into it. The mesh contracted, pinned him, 2 down, 2 remaining. Tobias signaled. The others broke and ran, different directions, pre-planned routes. The hunters had to choose. Chase prey or help their fallen. They chose prey. Big mistake. Tobias led his hunter into terrain he'd scouted. Volcanic vents, unstable ground, places where weight distribution mattered. The hunter was heavier, taller. His footfalls broke through thin crust. His leg plunged into superheated steam. He screamed, pulled back. Burns on his leg, severe. Tobias kept moving, didn't look back. By the time he circled back to the rendezvous point, the others were there, breathing hard, terrified, but alive. All of them. Did it work? Vera asked. 2 down, 2 injured. They'll retreat, regroup, buy us time. How much time? Day, maybe 2. Silas was staring at Tobias. You killed them. You actually killed them. I defended us. There's a difference. Is there? Tobias looked at the kid. Yeah, there is. They came here to hunt us for fun. We're fighting to survive. Don't ever confuse the two. The broadcast footage of the trap went viral. 6.2 billion viewers. The chat feeds were case. Half the viewers were celebrating. The other half were outraged. Prey fighting back. Impossible. Humans aren't supposed to do this. This is against protocol. But the Kethri network didn't shut it down. Couldn't. The ratings were too high. The engagement too valuable. They made a decision. If the humans wanted to fight, let them fight. They'd just make it harder. The message went out across all hunter channels. Release the apex predators. Authorization code. Theta 9, 24-hour deployment. The creatures kept in deep containment. The ones used only for special occasions. The ones with a 90% kill rate. They were being released early, and the humans had no idea. Day 3. Dawn. Tobias woke to screaming, not human screaming, animal screaming. The sound of something dying badly. He was on his feet, moving toward the sound. The others followed. They found it 50 meters from their shelter. An indigenous predator, the 6-legged kind. It was dead, torn apart, pieces scattered across the jungle floor. Whatever killed it had been efficient, brutal, and hungry. Tobias knelt, examined the claw marks. They were deep, curved, from something with opposable talons. This wasn't the work of the jungle's normal predators. This was something else. We need to move, he said, now. What was that? Lisa asked. Something new, something they brought in. How do you know? Because the local predators don't hunt like this. This is overkill, showing dominance, territory marking. He stood, scanned the canopy. They're escalating, making it harder. We need to find shelter. Real shelter. Something defensible. Where? Marcus asked. Tobias thought. He'd been mapping the terrain in his head for 2 days. There was a place, cave system near the eastern ridge, narrow entrance. Defensible. I know a place, but it's a day's walk. We need to move carefully. Stay together. Anyone falls behind, we all stop. They gathered their meager supplies, started moving. Tobias took point. Vera and Silas helped the others. They'd gone maybe 2 kilometers when it happened. The attack came from above. Something dropped from the canopy. Fast, silent. It landed on Charlotte, drove her to the ground. Tobias spun, saw it for the first time. The apex predator. It was massive, easily 3 meters tall, bipedal, covered in dark scales. 4 arms, each ending in talons like curved knives. Its head was elongated, predatory, eyes that saw in multiple spectrums. It had Charlotte pinned, one talon through her shoulder. She was screaming. The others froze, terror overriding thought. Tobias didn't freeze. He grabbed a branch, thick, heavy, ran at the creature, swung with everything he had. The branch connected with the creature's head, snapped. The creature barely noticed, but it turned, looked at Tobias, released Charlotte. Tobias backed away, slow. The creature followed. Uh, Tobias shouted, "Get her out of here!" Marcus grabbed Charlotte. Lisa and Vera helped. They ran. The creature ignored them, focused on Tobias. Bigger prey, better challenge. Tobias led it away, into dense undergrowth. The creature was fast, but big. It had trouble with tight spaces. Tobias used that, dove through gaps, under fallen trees. Places the creature had to go around. He gained distance. Not much, but enough. Then his knee gave out. The old injury. Pushed too hard. It buckled. He went down. The creature was on him in seconds. Tobias rolled, barely avoided the talons. They raked the ground where his head had been. He kept rolling, found a rock, threw it, hit the creature's eye. It screamed, rage. Tobias scrambled to his feet, ran. The creature followed. They burst into a clearing. Tobias saw it too late. A cliff, 20 meters, straight down. He skidded to a stop. The creature emerged from the jungle behind him. Tobias turned, faced it. This was it. No more running, no more clever moves. Just him and a creature designed to kill. He picked up a sharp rock, held it like a knife. "Come on," he said. "Let's see what you got." The creature charged. Then something hit it from the side. Not a person, a light spear, a Vareth weapon. The energy blast punched through the creature's torso, dropped it instantly. Tobias spun, saw a figure at the edge of the clearing. Vareth, young, holding the spear. The figure's translator crackled. "That was foolish, human. You cannot fight an apex alone." "Wasn't trying to fight, trying to survive." "There is a difference." "Yeah, there is." The Varath lowered the spear, stepped forward. "My name is Rin. I am the one who sent the warning. About the hunters." Tobias stared. "Why?" "Because what is happening here is wrong, and I am tired of being complicit. You're risking your life. So are you, every moment, for others." Tobias nodded slowly. "My people. They ran. I need to find them. I know where they are. I can see the drone feeds. Follow me." Rin turned, started walking. Tobias hesitated. This could be a trap. Could be a trick. But the Varath had saved his life, had sent the warning. Sometimes you had to trust. He followed. They found the others an hour later, sheltered in a cave. Charlotte was alive. Wounded, but alive. Vera had stopped the bleeding, used her medical training, improvised supplies. When Tobias walked in with Rin, everyone tensed. "Easy," Tobias said. "He's with us." "He's one of them," Marcus said. "He saved my life, and he's been helping us. The warning about the hunters, that was him." Rin spoke, his translator making his words flat, emotionless. But the intent was clear. "I'm sorry for what my people have done, for what I have allowed. I cannot undo it, but I can help you now." Lisa looked at Tobias. "Can we trust him?" "I don't know, but we don't have a lot of options." Rin pulled up a holographic display, showed them the broadcast data. "You need to see this. The viewership has reached 9.4 billion. Largest in network history, and there are protests, other species, demanding the hunt stop." "Will it stop?" Silas asked. "No, the Kethfari have immunity, political protection, but pressure is building. Galactic Council is meeting." "How long?" Tobias asked. "Unknown, days, maybe weeks." "We don't have weeks." "I know, that is why I am here, to help you survive until intervention comes." Tobias looked at his people. 6 humans, 1 alien ally, against an entire hunting operation. The odds were terrible, but they were better than they'd been yesterday. "'Kay," he said, "then let's survive." Day 5, morning. 2 days since the Apex attack. 48 hours of Charlotte holding on. She died in the night. The wound had been deeper than Vera thought. Internal bleeding, nothing they could do with rocks and leaves and hope. She'd stayed conscious, stayed brave, told stories about her students, about the kids she'd taught to read, the ones she'd never see again. At the end, she'd asked Tobias to tell them she was sorry. Sorry she wouldn't be there to teach them next year. He'd promised, knowing he'd probably never get the chance. Now she was wrapped in broad leaves, covered with stones, As much of a burial as they could manage. Lisa knelt beside the grave. Wasn't crying, was past crying, just staring. The others stood in silence. Rin stood apart, watching. His translator was off. No words seemed right. Tobias placed a hand on Lisa's shoulder. She was brave, he said, right to the end. Bravery didn't save her. No, but it mattered. To her. To us. Lisa looked up. Her eyes were hollow. How many more? How many of us die before this stops? I don't know. That's not good enough. It's all I have. Lisa stood, walked away, into the jungle. Marcus followed, making sure she didn't do something stupid. Tobias looked at the grave. Another person who'd trusted him, who he couldn't save. Vera touched his arm. You can't save everyone. Doesn't mean I stopped trying. I know, but you need to forgive yourself when you can't. He didn't answer, didn't know how. Ryan approached, his translator clicked on. There is something you need to see. The broadcast data has changed. Tobias turned. How? The viewership. It has reached 12 billion, and the council has issued a preliminary statement. They are reviewing the sentience accords, considering emergency intervention. When unknown, but there are complications. What kind? Rin pulled up the holographic display, showed footage. Not from Quiet Morning, from somewhere else. A facility, industrial, rows of cells, each one holding a different alien species. What is this? The HFY storage facility, where they keep future prey. Specimens captured, but not yet used. There are 33 beings there. Different species. Some have been held for years. Tobias stared at the screen. Saw the faces. Saw the fear. The desperation. Saw one face in particular. Young Veroth. Thin. Scarred. Who's that? Rin's voice went quiet. My cousin. Talvik. He was taken 2 years ago. I have been searching for him ever since. You know where he is? Yes. The facility is on the eastern ridge, 16 kilometers from here. Can you get him out? I do not have clearance, and if I tried, they would know. I would be arrested. Executed. Tobias looked at the screen, at all those prisoners, at Talvik. An idea formed. Dangerous. Probably suicidal, but an idea. What if we all went? Rin's head tilted. Confusion. Explain. What if we rescued all of them, not just your cousin, everyone? That is impossible. You are 6 humans with no weapons. The facility has guards, security systems. You would die. Maybe, but 12 billion people are watching. If we try, if we show them what the HFY are really doing, if we make it impossible to ignore, you would sacrifice yourselves. If it ends this, if it saves everyone who comes after? Yeah, I would. Vera stepped forward. We all would. Silas nodded, Lisa and Marcus too. Rin stared at them. These humans, these prey, willing to die for beings they'd never met. For species they couldn't even name. You are insane, Tobias smiled, grim. Probably. You gonna help us or not? Ryan's second eyelid flickered, the Varath equivalent of a deep breath. Yes, I will help, but we need a plan, a good one. I've got a plan. Whether it's good, we'll find out. Day 5, afternoon. Rin spread the holographic map across a flat stone. The facility layout glowed in blue light. Main entrance here. Secondary exits here and here. Guard station, 12 Varath on rotation, 6 active at any time. Tobias studied it. Power source, geothermal. The facility is built over a volcanic vent, uses the heat for energy. So if we cut the power, the security systems fail, doors unlock. But the backup generators activate in 30 seconds. You would have a very small window. 30 seconds to get 33 prisoners out. Not enough. No, Tobias thought. His fingers traced the map, looking for weaknesses, blind spots. What about the camera drones, the ones broadcasting? Can you redirect them to where the facility? If 12 billion people are watching us in the jungle, let's give them something better to watch. Let's show them where the prey comes from. Rin's eyes widened, understanding. You want to broadcast the rescue, make it public. Yeah, they can't hide it if the whole galaxy is watching. Can't claim it didn't happen. The exposure alone might force the council to act. It might also get you killed faster. Everything's gonna get us killed faster. Might as well make it count. Vera leaned over the map. How do we get in without being seen? We don't, Tobias said. We go loud, create chaos, Draw the guards. While they're distracted, a small team slips in, opens the cells, gets the prisoners out. Who's the distraction? Tobias looked at her. At all of them. Me. No, Vera said immediately. You're the only one who knows how to fight, how to survive us. We need you for the escape. You need me to buy you time. I'll draw the guards. You get the people out. Rin guides you to the extraction point. What extraction point? Silas asked. There's no ships, no way off this planet. Rin spoke, quiet. There might be, if the Council sends intervention forces, but we would need to survive long enough for them to arrive. How long? Unknown, hours, days. But if the broadcast shows a rescue in progress, if it shows humans and aliens working together, the pressure would be immense. Tobias nodded. Then that's the play. We rescue them, we broadcast it, we survive until help comes. Marcus shook his head. This is insane. We're gonna die. Maybe, but Charlotte died for nothing. Jake died for nothing. Kieran died for nothing. I'm tired of people dying for nothing. Let's die for something. The others looked at each other. Then one by one they nodded, even Marcus. Okay, Tobias said. Here's how it's gonna work. Day 6. Dawn. The facility looked exactly like the holographic map. Industrial, brutal, built into the side of a volcanic ridge. Tobias crouched in the jungle, 200 meters away. The others were behind him. Ryan was repositioning camera drones, making sure they had every angle covered. Drones in position, Rin said. 12.7 billion viewers. The entire galaxy is watching. Good, let's give them a show. Tobias stood, walked out of the jungle, into open ground, directly toward the facility's main entrance. Alarms immediately. Lights. Vareth guards pouring out. 6 of them. Armed with light spears, advancing in formation. Tobias stopped, raised his hands. My name is Tobias Brennick. I'm here for the prisoners. You can let them go, or I can make you. The lead guard barked a laugh. The translator rendered it. One human, no weapons. You are either brave or stupid. Both probably. The guard raised his spear. Then the ground exploded. Not an explosion. A distraction. Vera and Silas. Throwing rocks rigged with stolen power cells from dead apex predators. The cells overloaded on impact. Made noise. Smoke. Confusion. The guards turned. Divided attention. Tobias ran, not toward the guards, toward the facility's side entrance. The one Rin had marked as least defended. 2 guards intercepted him. He ducked the first spear thrust, grabbed the shaft, used the guard's momentum against him, threw him into the second guard. Both went down. Tobias grabbed a spear, kept running. He hit the door. Locked, reinforced. But the power cells weren't just for distraction. Vera had given him one. Modified. Overcharged. He jammed it against the lock. Ran. The explosion blew the door off at its hinges. Tobias went in. Inside the facility was darker, cooler. Rows of cells stretching into shadows. Prisoners pressed against the bars. Dozens of faces. Alien. Human. Scared. Tobias ran to the control panel. No idea how to work it. But Ren had given him instructions. Red crystal, 3rd from left, pull it. Tobias found it, pulled. Every cell door unlocked, swung open. The prisoners stared, not moving, not believing. Go, Tobias shouted. Move, get out. They didn't move. Then one did. A young Varoth, thin, scarred. He stepped out of his cell, looked at Tobias. You are human. Why save us? Because it's wrong, because someone should. Now move. The young Varoth Talvik had to be nodded, turned to the others, spoke in his own language. No translator, but the meaning was clear. They started moving, slowly at first, then faster, pouring out of the cells, 33 beings, different species, all heading for the exit. Tobias guided them, out the blown door, into the jungle where Vera and the others were waiting. Behind him, guards were coming, shouting, firing light spears. Tobias turned, fired back, not trying to kill, just suppressing, buying time. The prisoners cleared the door, all of them. Tobias ran after them. A light spear hit him. Glancing blow, burned his shoulder. He stumbled, kept running, made it to the jungle. The others pulled him into cover. You're hit, Vera said. I'm fine, keep moving. They'll be right behind us. They moved. 39 people now, too many, too slow, but moving. The camera drones captured everything. Every face, every moment of fear and hope and desperation. 12.7 billion viewers watched humans and aliens running together, helping each other, refusing to leave anyone behind. The broadcast went viral across every species, every network, every platform. For the first time in galactic history, everyone was watching the same thing, and they couldn't look away. Kalzar watched the broadcast from the observation ridge. His mandibles were clicking. Fury. How did they access the facility? Unknown, his second said. But the human had help. The broadcast feed shows a Verath guiding them. Which Verath? A pause, then quiet. Rin, from technical support. Kalzar's eyes narrowed. Find him, kill him, and activate all hunter units. I want every human dead within the hour. All of them, the Council is watching. If we kill prey during a rescue, the Council is light years away. We are here, and this ends now. The orders went out. Every hunter on Quiet Morning mobilized. 30 Verath, armed, trained, moving to intercept. Tobias led the group toward the extraction point, a clearing near the eastern ridge. Rin had said if Council ships came, that's where they'd land. If. They'd covered maybe 4 kilometers when the hunters hit them. Not a direct assault. Herding tactics, driving them toward a specific location. Tobias saw it, understood it, but had no choice. They were boxed in. The group emerged into a ravine, steep walls on both sides. Only one way out, and Kalzar was standing there. 20 hunters behind him. Weapons raised, the prey stopped. Trapped. Kalzar's translator activated. Impressive human. You have caused more disruption than any prey in 8 years, but it ends here. Drop your weapon. Tobias still had the light spear. He looked at it, then at the 39 people behind him. Aliens and humans, all looking to him. He dropped the spear. Good. Now step forward, away from the others. What? Because I am offering a bargain. You for them. You stay. Provide entertainment for the finale. They leave. Are processed. Return to origin planets. You'll let them go. You have my word. Tobias looked at Vera, at Silas, at Rin and Talvik and all the others. Looked at the camera drones hovering overhead. No deal. Kalzar tilted his head. Then you all die. Maybe, but 12 billion people are watching. You kill us, you kill prey who were rescuing prisoners, who were helping each other. You think the Council will ignore that? The Council is irrelevant. Is it? Look at your comm unit. Check the broadcast chat. See what they're saying. Kalzar glanced at his device. His eyes widened. The chat feeds were unanimous. Stop the hunt end. This now humans are sentient. Protect them, free the prey. The Galactic Council's emergency session was being broadcast live. Votes were being cast. Amendments to the Sentience Accords were being proposed. In real time. While the galaxy watched, Kalzar looked up, rage in his eyes. It does not matter. You are still mine. He raised his spear. Then the sky split open. Council ships, dozens of them, dropping out of hyperspace, descending through the atmosphere. Military cruisers, enforcement vessels. The galaxy's response to 12 billion voices demanding justice. They didn't land. Didn't need to. Gravity beams activated, locked onto every Verath hunter, lifted them off the ground, held them suspended. Kalzar struggled. Useless. A voice boomed, amplified, authoritative. By order of the Galactic Council, this hunt is terminated. All Verath personnel are under arrest. All prey are granted immediate protected status. The Quiet Morning Network is dissolved. The Cathvari owners will face tribunal. The ships descended, ramps lowered. Council peacekeepers emerged. Non-Verath species, armed with restraints and medical equipment. They moved to the prisoners first, scanned them, provided aid. One approached Tobias. Are you Tobias Brennick? Yeah. Come with us. Medical treatment. Debriefing. Tobias looked at his people, his humans, his allies. They come too. All of them. Of course. This way. They walked toward the ship, Vera supporting Tobias. His shoulder was burning. His knee was screaming. But he was walking. They were all walking. Out of the jungle. Out of the nightmare. Into sunlight. Behind them, Kalzar was being loaded into a containment unit. Still struggling, still raging. Tobias didn't look back. 3 months later. The memorial on Quiet Morning was simple. A wall of names. 2,847 of them. Every human who died there. Kieran Brennick's name was near the top. Tobias stood before it, ran his fingers over the engraved letters. Vera stood beside him. Silas on his other side. Lisa and Marcus had come too. They'd returned to teaching, but they still came to remember. Rin and Talvik stood apart, respectful. The jungle around them was different now, quieter. The predators had been relocated, the volcanic vents capped. It was being transformed, from a place of death to a place of remembrance. 33 species had contributed to the memorial, each adding something from their culture. Flowers, stones, light sculptures, a garden of grief and hope. He would have liked you, Tobias said to the wall, to his son, all of you. He always believed people were good, that they'd help each other if given the chance. He was right, Vera said. Tobias looked at her. Yeah, he was. They stood in silence for a long moment. Finally, Tobias turned away. Ready? Vera asked. Yeah, let's go home. 1 year later, Alaska. The cabin was new, built on land near where the old one stood. Tobias was teaching again. Not tourists this time, something different. Survivors, people who'd been through trauma, who needed to learn how to be in the world again. Vera was with him. She'd become a trauma counselor, specialized in helping rescued captives process their experiences. Silas visited sometimes, brought engineering projects, built things for the cabin. Wheelchair ramps, solar panels, communication arrays. The broadcast had made them famous. The rescue had changed the galaxy. But it hadn't changed who they were. Tobias was still a teacher, still showing people how to survive, how to help each other. On this particular morning, he was showing a new group how to start a fire in wet conditions. Basic skill, essential knowledge. The students watched, practiced, asked questions. One of them was young, maybe 19, reminded Tobias of Kieran. Why do you do this? The kid asked. After everything, why keep teaching? Tobias looked at him. Because people need to know how to take care of each other, how to survive, how to be strong without being cruel. That's worth teaching. Even after people hurt you, took your son. Especially then, my son believed people were good. I'm going to make sure he was right. The kid nodded, seemed to understand. They finished the lesson, built the fires, cooked a meal together. As the sun set, Tobias stood at the cabin's edge, looked out at the forest, the mountains, the sky turning purple and red. His comm unit beeped. A message. From the Galactic Council. He opened it. Annual memorial service. Quiet morning. Your attendance requested. Tobias smiled, replied, I'll be there. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Kieran's name was carved in stone. A reminder. A promise. You were right, kid, Tobias said quietly. To his son, to the stars, to himself. People are good, and I'm going to keep proving it. The forest around him was quiet, peaceful, safe, home.